Good morning. Alright, let's figure out what we're doing today. I mean, besides working on Dashkin, like we always do. Like I always do. What am I up to? Well, we need to continue building the sky. So, the next thing we want to do, let me just write down what we want. So, we need our light to come from the sun/moon. And also we're going to need a secondary light for God rays to come at a slightly different direction. And the reason for that is so reflection stuff, we can change things with the bloom of the light and get it to work without being too insane. Because when we're looking at this level, how we did this is with our God ray light, we actually have it coming from a different angle with a different bloom depth and all that sort of thing. So it's like the bloom scale was actually different than the brightness, and we can change how that works, and that'll change how our God rays work in the scene, independently of how the light works. And that allows us to do things like put, the God rays into the scene without just like blowing up our lighting completely. So we need two directional lights to do that. Let's see, we're going to want a nighttime background color setup. We want a daytime background color setup. We're going to want, I was talking to Adam, and he definitely likes the stars as they are, but we need better control over that. So we need better control over star UV mapping. We're going to want remove the spectral halo texture, or just put a placeholder that is blank. We are going to want a sunrise color and a sunset effect. Alright, so we need a sunrise effect and we need a sunset effect. And that'll be things we need to put together in order to get this thing to actually do what we want. So let's see, if we put our skybox, and our time of day is like 4 in the morning. I'm actually going to turn off our time of day advance and all that sort of stuff. Let's make sure we got everything checked out as well. I'm seeing a little jitter there happen with the time of day. Why is that? Well, there's got to be some difference in the construction script versus that, which is doing something. Let's not worry about that too much at the moment. Alright, so let's think about what we need here. So we need a light that's actually going to come from the direction that this thing is coming from. So why don't we try turning off our two lights that we currently have on our scene. Or all three of our lights. So we have no lights affecting our scene. Let's also remove our spectral halo texture here. Well, let's go ahead and mess with our shader so that we actually can remove that spectral halo texture. It's not, it looks like crap, so we're gonna get rid of it pretty much. But I don't want to completely get rid of it just yet. Alright, so our test sky material. Alright, so we've got our halo toggle. And we'll go to our test skybox blueprint. And we're going to go to our celestial object. We're going to add another variable, which is going to be a bool, which is going to be halo exists. I'm going to default it to false. And if we go to our update shader parameters, we can go ahead and fix this for us. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this. It's looking a little choppy at the moment. Let me just take a look at what's... I guess we can just detach our debugger. The editor's just a little choppy. I'll probably restart it here in a second. I've been messing around with a lot of little things, and it could be getting upset with me as a result. So the halo toggle, so we're going to set that to either 1 or to 0. Let's go ahead and branch right here. So if the halo exists, we set it to 1. If the halo doesn't exist, we'll set it to 0. And that'll basically toggle this thing on and off in math. Alright, so we can now turn this thing on and off. And then we can just compile and save that. So now if we go to Celestial, we can toggle that on and off real nicely. Cool, so we got that one knocked out. So let's start working on our light. So the interesting thing here is this is our viewport for our thing. I probably should remove that effect there. And also the clouds should be drawing on top of the moon, not the moon on top of the clouds. So let's see. Our moon is coming in here, and our clouds are coming in after that. So what we want to actually do is move this back to here. So let's see if this has the moon behind the clouds. Yeah, that's definitely looking correct. We've got the moon behind the clouds, probably. All right, cool. Very good. How is that not moving with us? Like, we moved this, and it wasn't moving everything. I don't know. I don't really know how to organize this so it doesn't look like awful tone. What I do want to do is I want to remove the spectral halo on the side where it shouldn't be, as well as the other ones. Let's see. And we don't have an orbital glow, do we? Now, what's the mathematical property that's actually going to let us not draw that side? It's like basically we've got our clamping for 0 to 1. I want to know if it's the reverse side. What operation does that, where basically we know the sign of it's negative? Let's see. I mean, it's basically a mask of some type. A mask on the sign of it, maybe? Provides a 1-bit mask from a supplied grayscale image and value. Nah. No. Alright, well, why don't we just ignore that for now? I don't need to go fix that. Well, maybe I should. I guess we can do an if. And I guess it's basically this camera vector. And we're dotting it. Basically this whole thing. So if this is yeah, 0, so if it's greater than 0, if A is greater than B, then we should have a constant of 1. Otherwise, we'll have a constant, we'll have 0 slot in there. And then we just multiply that in there again. And that's for the moon? Alright. Alright, so let's go see if that works on the spectral halo here. Alright, so we got it locked down there. And I think it was with this alpha channel thing there. Do we need this one? Nope. So we only needed it up over there. Alright, cool. So we can just get rid of all this stuff here. And the only thing, we basically got a master toggle down over here for our alpha channel. I mean, for our stuff. That's all we needed. Oh, well, we got that guy over there. And that is going to be, what is that? Okay, so we did need the we did need it in both. All right, so basically what we did there is we're dotting the camera vector with our light direction, and if that is less than 0, then what we're able to do is just say like, well, obviously that's behind us, so don't draw it. So that's how we're not drawing the moon behind ourselves. And while we can't see that in our scene, if we do any sort of reflections or anything like that, it might get baked into the reflection, so we need to avoid that if we can. Alright, cool. Alright, so other things with the material. The nighttime background color and daytime background color need to be set up. So we found basically that cube maps really just don't work for this guy. So what was working better was having a nighttime color and having a sky color. So let me see, I might already have them rigged up. Well, they're already passed in. We have night sky color and sky color as parameters. Let's see if we've got them inside of our shader. Celestial glow. We've got our celestial color. Alright, so we've got our... Let's get these things working then. Do we have a... set vector? Alright, here we go. Alright, so we need the two things, which are the sky color and the night sky color. So sky color and night sky color. I'll just copy paste it from there. I don't want to make any errors with typing. There we go. Let's organize this a little bit better. Throw that in there, and we're going to want some sky stuff here. We're going to need two more variables. Like we've got our celestial color, which is a linear color, so we're going to want to duplicate that. And we'll throw it into sky. So this will be sky color. Duplicate this again, and this will be night sky color. Alright, this will be the background color of the day. And this will be the background color of the night. Alright, so we'll compile those, and we're going to want to go grab the proper defaults for it. So the sky color defaults. Hello, Kento456. How are you doing today? We're gonna keep working on the sky until we're done working on the sky, or until I'm sick of it. Alright, so for the sky color, we've got a 0.085, and we have 0.15, 0.35, 1.0. And the night sky color, adding error logging to the front end, and that's a job that can sometimes be thankless, but is incredibly critical. Like proper logging on your servers and all that, your website. If you don't have it, you're toast. And it can be actually very difficult to do properly. Like we had a whole one of the games at Amazon that we worked on had a whole bunch of server stuff, and the game guys are all used to basically tracking down stuff with logs and everything, and they didn't have like error logging at proper levels and stuff like that, so we can never set up proper alarms for like stuff getting broken. And we just went through like months of just, you guys need to put proper logs in here. And we had like one person at EA, they didn't use the right logging framework. Like they just used system out instead of using our like log4j stuff on our server. And it got pushed out to production eventually, and then it just took down all of production because all the servers started logging out, a million bajillion logs. It just filled up all the hard disks. Alright, so we got our sky color and our night sky color. We should be able to actually change this. So let's change the night sky to, yeah, we can just pick our color, and then we can change the color of the night. Awesome. And that person who actually did the logging stuff there got fired because of it. Well, not specifically because of it, but straw that broke the camel's back. So logging is serious business. Or it can be very serious business very quickly. Alright, so one of the things is we've got this star field in the background here. But the way we're doing the stars at the moment is we're taking this UV texture coordinate map thing. And we're just taking this text coordinate here. You own the whole project, so it's easy? Yeah. It's a lot easier when you control stuff. You don't have to worry too much about it. So what I'm going to want to do here is I want to make it so we can easily make the stars' texture coordinates look proper. And right now the stars are using the unwrapped stuff. Like they're using what's already there in the sky sphere mesh, and if we pop that open, the UV channel 1 is what it's on. It looks like this, and it's warped and stretched, and it's not actually what we want. So let's see, what if we use texture coordinate 0? Or let's see, we're using texture coordinate 1, but we want it to not be so stretched. Maybe the UV tiling at 12 and 12? It still looks stretched to me. Like it looks bleh. Like the texture should look like this with these should be squares, but what I'm seeing are stretched textures. So the question is that is there something I can do about that or not? So let's see, that's at 6 for UV tiling. It still doesn't really look like what I want. Like, I want more control over this thing than, yeah, it just looks warped to me. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look correct either, you know? And that right there is just, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Actually, why is that doing that? We've got our camera position, our absolute world position, and we're just taking our X and our Y. Oh, okay. I think I can fix this, the cloud sphere real quick to look proper. And I'm going to do that with this if branch down here. So what's happening for our clouds is we're taking the X and the Z. What I should actually do is see if the... Like, I always want to use the Y coordinate, I think. Well, let's just mess around with it a little bit. Alright, so what is this? For our sphere, we want it when the we want to fix it as the x comes in, so as the x is less than if the x is less than the z, or is it x less than y? Alright, so if the x is, if this is greater than, alright, so basically what we want right here is we want this to slot in for all three, and then if we slot this into our x coordinates, basically what's the u coordinate for the material. So if the x is greater than the y, if the x is less than the y, then we actually want to use this one. So let me try. Let me see what this looks like. Yeah, we have a mirror effect is what it looks like if we do it like this. Well, we probably just don't have to fix that at all. There's a better way to do it. But I'm okay with what we have. But basically we want to make the stars do the same thing as the clouds. So in order to do that, I'm going to use the same basic calculations. Alright, so the clouds are all wrapping and everything else, so that's fine. So all we have to do here is just do this sort of thing. So let's just get rid of all this in here. So let's see how this looks for stars. Yeah, and that looks a lot better. And again, we've got the stretching issues and all that sort of stuff, which is fine. Because we're only looking at this part of the sky. So let's see, we're multiplying by a very small number here. Alright, so what we're doing basically is we're saying the UV coordinate of this thing is the absolute world position minus the camera position. And we're going to take the x and the y of that. Should we go ahead and normalize this? Because then maybe we wouldn't have to multiply by such a ridiculous number. So why don't we normalize this? And I think if we multiply by 1, let's just see what it looks like. Good evening, Brentison. How are you doing today? Or tonight? I don't see any stars. No stars? What? So we're basically just taking the direction of the camera position. Well, let's save this and see if we're actually suffering from some sort of horrible issue with the material not updating properly. No, it looks like it's saving properly, so that's good. Alright. So we're trying to get this sky stuff looking properly. We're trying to get this star texture. So let's see if this is all saving. Because I'm getting odd results here. Yeah, this multiply node is not working how I would have expected it to. It's not saving the multiply node. How complicated is this node set? It looks, you know, it's just looks like this. It's nothing too insane. Alright, and this is more what I was looking for. We're at a normalized vector. So we have a very well behaved, like it behaves as you would expect with the stars. Like this is basically taking the normal of, basically we just take the pixel world position and the camera position. We get the direction to that, and we do that. I guess the camera vector could be the actual, like that's just the camera vector, isn't it? So like we don't actually have to do that crap. We can just slot this straight in here, couldn't we? Yeah, so we don't need to do crazy town shenanigans. We can just, it's a camera vector. Alright. So what we want to do is we want to have a multiply off of here. And we're basically going to multiply our UV coordinates by a certain scale. So it'll be like kind of our size. So we want our, this will be our star tile multiplier. And it's going to default to 1. So go from like 1 to 0. So we can save that. Use Blender, you would say make more simple, multiply and add is often just overkill. Well, I'm not sure what you're really going for, Bredson. Each one of these sections is a different part of our skybox. Like, this is the star texture, and it itself is very simple. It's just, our camera vector, just to figure out where on the sphere it goes. And, this is just night sky color, and we're multiplying it by, is it either day or night? So a lot of these are very simple to compute a color that we're just hooking together. So, and a lot of this is just math, getting like the actual value we need, and then the actual like color stuff is like 1 or 2 operations. So I'm totally on board with like, yeah, stuff should be simple. You're doing it wrong. We're just doing it all kind of in the same shader. So I think we got the same opinion rolling around. Alright, so now we got this star tile multiplier. We should be able to go actually throw it into our blueprint and actually make another like scalar and everything. So snag this, set it in here. The actual star brightness, this is going to be the, not actual star brightness, we're going to need another one here. So let's duplicate this, and this will be the star tile multiplier. And this will be how many times the star's tile in a sphere. And that's going to start at 1 and go to like 100. So let's make sure we got that. Star tile multiplier default was set at, it used to be set at 1. Alright, so we should be able to change this star tile multiplier. And of course, it's hooked up to the wrong thing. Let's see, it should be... I don't know how that got into the wrong place. Whatever, it doesn't matter how it got there. Alright, so we should be able to... So we multiply this, it's going to multiply out and make this go from 0 to like a very large number. So we actually need to do 1 divided by or something like that. So it needs to be a divide, not a multiply. Let's take a look at that. No, I was right. It definitely needs to be a multiply. So why isn't this working? Let's see. Oh, because it is working, and I'm just... They're just absolutely tiny, is what's going on. So that's like super tiny. Alright, that's looking a lot nicer than we had. So I'll just make sure that inside of this that it goes from like 0 to 10 as opposed to 0 to something else. And do we have the same thing for the clouds? We don't have a cloud size. So I definitely should change that up and get these clouds a little bit better. So yeah, this is also just stuff here that I'm breaking stuff up because I don't need it. This multiply needs to be something else. So do a multiply by 1. Add that in there. Oh, nice. So the cloud vector direction also got fixed. That's what it looks like. Alright, so the cloud speed was default of that. We want it to actually be +1. Yeah, I'm fixing small things. Add, mix, add, then multiply. I'm not sure I'm understanding your terminology there, Brenton, for some of that. If you're saying like which things to add and mix, because maybe you've got a different idea on how this is constructed than I do, and I do not know if we're speaking the same language. Alright, so we're going to have our cloud tile multiplier. Hitting random buttons. And that should default to 1, go to, yeah. Alright, so cloud tile multiplier, hook that up in Blueprint so that we can set that properly. And we need to make a cloud tile multiplier. It should be cloud tile multiplier. This is how many times the cloud texture tiles in a sphere. So we'll snag that and throw it in there. A lot of stuff to kind of hook up and expose, but it should make it so it's very easy for us to customize exactly how we want this to look inside of here. So cloud tile multiplier. Doesn't appear to be doing anything. So let's see, why would you not do anything? Maybe it didn't save properly? We've had that definitely happen to us. Cloud tile multiplier goes in there. Alright. There we go. Alright, so we can have to go all the way in or all the way out. There it goes. Alright, so I think we've cleaned these things up pretty nicely from what they were. So now we actually have a bit more control over our scene. So let's see what's next on the list. Remove the spectral halo texture. We need a sunrise effect and a sunset effect. The next thing really is we need a nighttime. Alright, we got the nighttime and daytime colors. Better control over star UV mapping and cloud UV mapping is in there. I guess some people like to float numbers. I guess I'm just not really getting it. Like we're like for our transparent things, like this is really how we're combining all these colors. Is like we're just adding and multiplying colors together here for an emissive color on our final thing. So we're not doing anything crazy with the colors, you know. So I'm not really sure what you're referring to. The most complicated thing once we actually have the color from the texture is just we're just multiplying it. And the most complicated thing is we're doing a mask on some of the colors behind the moon so that the background stars don't affect the moon texture. That's the most complicated operation we're actually doing with colors, because this right here is the actual colors getting all put together, and it's just, you know, a multiply add, multiply add, multiply add to composite the things on top of each other. So I don't think we're, unless you're trying to just talk or something, I think we're on the same page. But if we're not on the same page, then maybe we're on the same page but we're reading a different book. Or maybe I don't know how to read, in which case, I'm sorry, I can't learn how to read. I'm too old. I'm too old to learn. Alright, so the next thing is we want to actually attach lights to our blueprint object. So this is our sky. I'm going to replace this default texture with our better default texture right now. Let's see. That is the star texture? Yeah. We've got a default star texture. I want this star texture. Like this. So we want lights to actually exist in this universe that we have created. Maybe my thinking is flipped.